From a child, I was fond of reading, and all the little money that came into my hands was ever laid out in books. Benjamin Franklin.
Hi.
Hi!
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm so good.
Yeah!
Hooray!
Hey guys, Camille here from Written and Smitten with 5 books that will change your view of English completely. I recently finished a number of books revolving around a certain theme. English. Surprise, surprise! And also recently I've been hearing a lot about the degradation of the English language. So I'm sharing with you 5 books that will change the way that you see English, that gives you some context for referring to this degradation of the English language. We're going to start with some hefty reads and then we're going to get into the easier ones. The first book is the Autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. It details his young life and influences, but the language that he used to write this book, it shares enough linguistic similarities to overlap with modern-day English and be understood, but it has whole paragraphs and whole sentences and phrases that are just totally out of this world strange to a modern-day English speaker like me. There's even some punctuation use and ways that words are written that sort of interrupt the fluidity of reading it. It's always changing, and even though it's been moving and growing for centuries upon centuries, the opportunity to get to look at those changes in depth and see them manifest themselves is a rare one. It's very valuable in sort of seeing where English has come from and gauging the ability of it to change possibly in the future. It is a mere 233 pages. Fair warning, this took over a month for me to finish, between life and classes and jobs, etc. Simply because of the intense, thickly textured language. And it also had me speaking like I was from the 1800s for about a week after. On Language by Noam, Chomsky. Staring at you. This book is a classic in the linguistics world. It's written by a man who has influenced the field quite a bit. On Language tackles language from an outside view. This book is a great read for anyone who is super interested in language and anyone who really wants to get more familiar with the language that they use every day. It's also great for anyone who wants to recognize the structure, the politics, and the mysteries of English and of language study in general. It's about 227 pages and includes a ton of notes and indices in the back. And I read it in about a week in between classes, life, etc. The next book I'm going to talk about is this book, the Encyclopedia of Language. It's going to fall down, so I'm just sort of holding it here. This was published in 2010, so it could be a little bit out of date, but it's fairly recent. This is less of a reading sort of book and more of a reference book. There's a lot of interesting bits and pieces in here about language, and it's a really great resource for someone who's interested in language, or is really curious about certain aspects of language, of neurological aspects of creating language, basically anything having to do with language. There's a lot of information in here that you sort of just want to go out and think about or digest before you come back to the book. And also something that this book does is it touches, again, on the arbitrary nature of language. So it looks at all sorts of languages across the board, not just English. That's important to do to give you a perspective that English is not the end-all be-all. It is one language and it's moving and changing and inspiring other languages. The next book I'm going to talk about is Globish by McCrum. And the subtitle is How the English Language Became the World's Language. Very intriguing, very eye-catching cover. I have so many feelings about this book! So it gets really into the history and the beginnings of the English language. From the barbarous tribes, the Angli, better known as the Angles, to the 4 invasions by Romans, Anglo-Saxons, Danish, and French, all respectively, and lastly, the Cultural Revolution of America. So throughout the book, McCrum provides context and quotes from each historical era that he talks about, and every historical event that you can basically pin down as changing the common vernacular, which is a great part of this book, but it does take up much of the book. The best bit of this book is the last 40 pages, in my opinion. That's where McCrum finally gets into Globish itself, how it became separate from English, why it's separate from English, and how it's helped to shape itself as a global language based off of English, and not an extension of the English language. My main issue with McCrum's book is that he treats English as a more robust language in and of itself, and doesn't give a lot of credit to the external factors. But anyway, I'm getting off on a rant. Nonetheless, if you want a ton of linguistic, English-related trivia and contextual historical quotes out the wazoo, then this is a fantastic book for you. It's 287 pages, including the prologue and the epilogue, and it includes an extensive amount of notes and indices in the back. And this is Elemental P, a novel in letters by Dunn. And this book is a novel made up of letters back and forth between the characters of this fictional island called Noam. Noam is named after the supposed creator of the famous English panagram, "The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog." That famous sentence is up in front of the town as a welcoming sign for anyone coming into the town. Each of the letters has their own piece, and once the letters start to fall off because they've been up there and glued up there for 100 years, the High Council of the island of Noam decides that the residents can no longer use those letters in their language. The book is entirely fictional, but plays on that same idea that you give language an arbitrary system, this power to decide things about our life and our laws, that society sort of starts to fall apart at its seams. It's just over 200 pages. I devoured this one in about 3 hours. It whipped my paradigms about English around and around and around, and it reminds you that there are other ways a language can be used. So that about does it for now. There you go. 5 books that will definitely change the way that you see English, and perhaps other languages on that note. Links to pages about each book will be in the description. And if this video wasn't enough for you, I'll be doing a few more in-depth reviews about the more modern books, especially Robert McCrum's Globish. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Let me know in the comments if you want more videos like this. And if you're new, hello! Click to subscribe for more stuff like this. Thanks guys, and look forward to Ree's video on Monday. Bye! One quick note about Wednesday's video. Had some technical issues. Have since figured them out. So look forward to all future Wednesday videos that will be happening.